Welcome back. We are still live from the Kampala Serena Hotel and you're watching the Press Box, Uganda's premier sports show every Monday at 10 p.m. Live on NTV from whichever part of the continent or the world you're watching us from. Thank you very much. But you can also go on and use our hashtag online, that is NTV PRESSBOX, and send in your reaction. So much of that is coming in about Mike Mutebi and we shall try and read as much as we can. But for now, the chairman of KCCA Football Club, Mr. Ssekajja Martin, is joining us on the line just to have a quick reaction to what Mike has said. There you go. Mr. Ssekajja, first of all, thank you very much for joining us tonight. A very good evening to you.
Good evening, Mark. Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Mwagusha, and all NTV viewers.
Fantastic. Really having you here is a fantastic plus for us, because our biggest fear was that the audience was going to think we're one-sided in talking about Mike. I think let's start here, Martin. What informed the decision at KCCA to get Mike Mutebi sacked?
Well, I didn't know that I was coming for this kind of debate, but KCCA and Mike had a contract, and it was based on performance. And we did meet and agreed about the performance targets for this year, considering that at the start of the year, we sat together with him. We asked him for the team, the appropriate team that he thought would compete at all our fronts, locally and at the continent. And he knew that at the end of the season, we had some expectations as a club. And well, he was short of those targets, and we had a discussion over the targets, and we thought maybe it was time to part company.
Look, I mean, I don't want us to go back and forth about an explanation to the KCCA fans, or if some feel something was unfair. I guess just before I ask you what he's talked about in the interview, I should first ask, what do you make of his reign at KCCA? Because, I mean, he's ranked one of the most successful managers at the club. He's taken the club to the continent. What do you make of his time at the club?
Well, he has been a success at the club, and we want to thank him for his contribution to KCCA. Over the last 5 to 6 years, he has contributed 13 major titles for KCCA. We very much want to thank him. And we did have a good working relationship with him. It was one that was full of learning, and he used to have a philosophy that we also would believe in. He had this love for young talent, nurturing talent. He had the lens of the football at the KCCA over the years. He would tell you what to expect over so many years. Even after this, he would see maybe KCCA in a certain position after 4 years. So we like that about him. He was very passionate about his work. But sometimes you need to align the institutional objectives. The most important thing we always want to focus on is the interest of the club. Despite our contribution, we do have objectives that we are made to achieve at the club. And, he set the bar so high over the last 5 years that every year we need to at least win a title. So we can never compromise on our performance. So when time came, he also did not find it much of a big decision to think about. So I thought it was the time to part company.
Okay, a few questions from me, Martin. One, yes. Those targets that you talk about, you need to clarify a little more. What were those targets this year? But you said something about title. So maybe is Mutebi Kwaso being judged on the same targets? Has he been given those same targets, or is the bar being lowered? Is Mutebi Kwaso stopgap? If so, where are you headed now? Where do you go from Mike Mutebi? Or is Mutebi Kwaso the man who he is for the future? That's one. You wrap that up in as you tell us. The second bit is there anything else outside of performance on the pitch that resulted in this mutual consent, this departure by mutual consent between you guys and Mike? Was there another failure in a meeting of minds apart from those results on the pitch? I ask that only because we've even talked about his management, but there are also other things that we've heard on the grapevine, and sometimes we are never at liberty to say everything that we hear. But yeah, from the horse's mouth, those two.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. At the beginning of the season, we did have 3 targets. One was to progress at the group stages. We do believe that despite the challenges that we did have, we still had an opportunity to progress beyond the only game that we played at Chitende against AS Kigali. Then we did have the other 2 targets, one winning the local championship, UPL, and Uganda Cup. But following our various displays, we did think we would not meet these targets. And, you know, I personally have the liking for Coach Mike, and even outside football, we do interact on several matters. We discuss beyond football. But, you know, in management, we need to separate issues related to personal relationships and consider the interests of the club first. So it was a decision that we all believe in. We thought he had failed on the expectations that we had set from the beginning of the season. Well, he did think that he still had time to meet the other 2 targets, but we do believe, following how we were playing football, we did think we wouldn't meet these targets. Yeah.
And Mole?
We had a number of... And for Mole, yes, we do believe, considering that Mike has shared that he did not expect to extend the contract. We hadn't yet reached contract negotiations, but clearly it was, I think, a position that we had from both ends. We also thought we needed to take another direction in terms of what we give our fans, how we entertain them. Yes, if you look at KCCA in the first 4 years of Coach Mike, we were very, very successful. But in the last 2 years, we did have a challenge. We're declining a little bit. So we thought that Mole we would get a coach that would help us take us to the next level. And we believe that Coach Mole has the credentials that can take us to the next level. However, I understand that when a coach comes on board, you need to give him time. So the expectations might not be the same at the moment, but definitely coming into the next season, whichever coach will have, either Coach Mole or any other coach, will still have the same objectives. And sometimes it's just a matter of optimizing the resources that you do have. We think with the squad we have, we can put up a better show, and we can compete much better than we've been competing. The second question is on...
No, that's it. I think you've answered both of them.
No, there was the bit
Yes.
about... Okay.
Yeah, no, you've answered both of them, but I think we have 2 final questions for you. And just before I allow Mwangusha to come in, Martin, I've received a message here from a fellow journalist who prefers I call him anonymous. We've become an investigative show now, my friend. But he says, Mike playing the Mr. Nice Guy card. Mbu, I listened to advice from the board members. Give me a break, absolute rubbish. What was the relationship between the board and Mike? And just like he said in his own clip, did you feel there was friction between the two? Because Mark has alluded to it, but I don't think you've given us a full answer. Was there friction between the board and Mike? He says some people in the board probably wanted to shine more than the coach or at the club. I mean, how true is that?
It is not true because, you know, most of the boards out there, KCCA is a corporate entity. KCCA FC is a corporate entity running under KCCA. And it being a corporate entity, there are several organs in it, and each has its, you know, responsibilities and duties. The board clearly focuses on budgeting and probably supervises the other arms of the corporate entity, including the performance of the club. And if the club is not performing well, we cannot sit and wait for 10 matches performing poorly, and then we take action. We need to assess based on our performance. So performance management is one of our, performance supervision is one of the board's roles and responsibilities. So we did take action. First, you come and talk to the technical team, inform them you're not doing well. Is there anything that we can do to improve how we are performing? And if you put whatever is required into place, you try to find out what the problem is in detail and try and address it. So, but we have always had a good working relationship with the technical department, including Coach Mike. It's mainly due to performance, and we cannot compromise on the performance standards that we've set at the club.
Okay. Here is Mangusha.
Good evening, Martin.
Yes, please.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. Now, I'll stick it down to the results and your decision. You mentioned the continent where you lost out to AS Kigali. We all know the conditions under which KCCA lost. We had COVID in Kigali. That game was never played. The game in Uganda ended in favor of KCCA. One would argue that if the game in Kigali had been played, of course, we'll never know, but having seen AS Kigali and Proline and KCCA and in Sekafa, you give KCCA a chance. And then you look at the table, even without the result against Bull, KCCA were 6 points behind the leader, still are now. We have a full second round, so you could argue that he still had it to defend his league title. So when you factor in all that, one would think that your parting of ways with Mike could have been more down to his conduct and relationship with the board than actually the results.
Well, I thank you. First and foremost, everyone has a way they do conduct themselves. We do have personal weaknesses. No one is perfect. Yes, we know that Coach Mike is extremely good technically, but we also know his weaknesses, and we've been able to work together, and all of us have weaknesses. Like I said, even the board might be having weaknesses in one way or the other. So, but we always have to find a way of living together without necessarily disrespecting the other's function or contribution. But our departure with Coach Mike is purely technical. We thought that over the years, if you put all the results together in the last 2 years, we were not meeting our expectations. Even for some of the matches we won, yes, we won, but you would see that there were so many errors. And I'm happy that Mark is here, but he knows that on the game that we played against Express, we literally were supposed to lose that game by about 10 goals. So
True story.
For us, we don't take the final outcome of that game, but we look at the game technically and think maybe this 3-5-2 formation, which Coach Mike is so dear to, is no longer appealing to our expectations. And if we discuss and ask him to change and he still is stuck to it, we don't believe it would be competitive anymore. So it's, you know, basically about performance and where we want to position the technical aspects of our game to the next level. It's not that we do interfere with the technical matters. We never, ever select any team. We do not involve in the technical trainings. We only empower teams in terms of training and capacity building and other aspects that are non-footballing, like financial management and the like. But we never, ever engage in footballing matters. That's on record. If there's any evidence where we are found trying to involve in footballing matters,
yeah,
I'll be happy to know, but we're not so much involved in the technical matters of the game.
This is my final question to you, Mr. Ssekajja, and I'm happy you say you never involved yourselves as the board in footballing matters. I have a tweet here which I think is good for you, from Kiberu Faizo, who says, Mike Mutebi is good, but Mole is the best. We shall not keep crying for milk that has poured down. I'm Team KCCA and I'm Team Mole as well. There's been lots of talk about Mike's treatment of some players, publicly criticizing some of those, and you say the board is not involved in footballing matters. What was the board's reaction to moments like those?
Well, we want to give you assurance that in the past, we've had coaches that have won titles for KCCA FC. You remember George Nsimbe won titles, 2 titles for KCCA FC. I think that was 2011, 2012, thereabout. Coach Mike has also contributed to KCCA success in the last 5 years. But this success is due to so many stakeholders, including many people, the board, so many people are involved in this success. It's not just due to the technical department. And we believe if we get any other coach at KCCA, we'll still give him the same empowerment, and we shall excel. I want our fans to calm down. We are mindful of our performance, and we want to assure them that we'll empower the next coach that we'll be having.
The chairman of KCCA Football Club, Mr. Martin Ssekajja, I want to thank you very much for joining us to clear the air on so many things. And definitely on the press box, you're always welcome, my brother, and wish the club all the very, very best. Once again, asante sana.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Kale. There you go. Thank you very much. Now, guys, we're running out of time. We need to cross over and talk to Innocent Ndaula, who's recorded some beautiful piece for us. Then we can talk about the UEFA Champions League as we run out of studio. But there's something small you wanted to add on Mike.
Actually, where you ended exactly
yes,
on
publicly, a minute for that.
Yeah, on publicly criticizing or calling out his players. I put it to him, and Mike even laughed about it. He's like, hey, all the best coaches are straight up with their players, and that's tough love, that's out of love, because if they don't tell you straight up what you're up, or whether you're doing right or you were lacking in this aspect, then you'll never improve. He actually says that him calling out his players publicly has enabled the players to work harder. So if you fit in, you stay and play. If you don't, you find your level. So okay. That's about that.
There you go, Mike Mutebi. Huge discussion here on the press box. Stick with us and stick with what is going on online because that debate does continue. Now, let's drop football for a second and talk some cricket and cross over to Windhoek, Namibia for the bilateral series where, of course, our very good friend Innocent Ndaula is closely following Uganda's national cricket side. They did have a game and, well, here it is. He spoke to us earlier on today and gave us a full brief of what Uganda is looking like in Namibia.
Nice to be on the press box, Andrew. There's another Andrew. I don't know who is the fake one and the original one. And then there's Mark Sally and of course Joel Kamadi. You guys out there at NTV doing a great job, making sure people know what's happening in the sporting world. Well, Uganda, of course, in Namibia for business. They did travel here on April 1st. Make that April 2nd, Good Friday. They were here for 8 days. They're gonna be playing 5-match series. Already 3 matches are down, and Uganda is trailing 3 down. You could be laughing, but I won't be laughing because it's serious business for the cricket cranes. They are here to show their potential and gauge what they can do. Of course, Namibia are the bigger boys, and they are big brothers in terms of cricket when it comes to Africa. They are ranked 19th in the 2020s, and we are only 31st. And then they are an ODI nation. That's they play one-day cricket. They can play the likes of Afghanistan, Ireland, Australia, West Indies. And for us, we're only dreaming to be there. Namibia are exactly where we want to be. And that's the reason why we're here. We're very privileged as the cricket cranes to be in Windhoek to play this series. Lots of positives to pick up from the series thus far. Of course, some of our weaknesses have been exposed. We've been frail with the fielding where we thought would be the big boys. We've been exposed with the top order batting, but we're learning. The bowling is being a little tighter, but the new coach, Lawrence Matlane, is going to break the bank to make sure he gets the best out of these boys. First game, the cricket cranes, of course, losing that one by 7 wickets, and with 31 balls remaining. It was a 2020. That was on a Holy Saturday. Then today, there were 2 2020s, of course, cricket cranes losing the first one. Rain playing spoil sport, losing that one by 20 runs because of Duckworth and Lewis Method. They were 65 for 5, chasing 134 for 4. Everybody thought that was very much gettable at the moment. Then in the afternoon, Namibia going amok with the runs there, getting 189, and Uganda only getting to 124. There's reflection time. The coach is talking about the key performance indicators for the guys, because the big picture for the cricket cranes remains that they want to do well when they go to the ICC World Challenge League B in Jersey. That's where the big game is. That's the game changer for Ugandan cricket. If the guys go there and do well, because already they have won 5 out of 5 in Oman, top of the log there. If they go to the Jersey and then they could win another 3 or 4 or even 5, we know Uganda is closer to playing ODI cricket. Mark Sally will tell you more about what ODI cricket means, because I tell you, this is going to be the big time for Uganda. The tourism industry will be boosted. Everyone will benefit from the game. even the man selling the groundnuts at the Oval will have an extra $1 in his wallet and will be able to make his family smile. This is what we're looking to, changing lives as cricket cranes, because we believe we're playing an elite sport that's a gentleman's sport that can change so many things for Uganda, not only the cricketers, but the sport at large, because many of our guys have come from that type of environment where they are needy and they are disadvantaged, and they are now here playing the sport to this level. So we're in a good stead, learning lessons, learning curve. We must trust the process to achieve the best.
Oh, there you go. Innocent Ndaula, a very good friend of mine. I also don't think I know of a Ugandan journalist who covers cricket better than Ndaula. He does a fantastic job. He's down in Windhoek, like I said. Not the best performance in there for Uganda's national cricket side, but we do hope they have learned a thing or two. And he raises a very important point. Every time a national team travels out of the country, they're flying our flag. So they really are selling the nation, and they're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Ndaula, and wish you a safe trip back, since we don't have the best of performances in there. Now,